1 year ago, Liam and Ben were both in excellent jobs, earning great money. But as the world was rapidly moving towards lockdown and restricted movement, they decided to walk away from all that security to start their own company. And so, Kinfits & Co. was born. 1 year on, they've worked with clients across 6 countries and are flying into their second year of operation. Today I'm catching up with Liam and Ben to find out how they managed to have such a successful first year despite the major disruption that COVID has caused. Now, One Zebra had the pleasure of working with Kinfits right at the start of their journey to clarify their messaging and value proposition and then transfer that into a sales funnel that included their website and other lead generating assets, ebooks and calculators and so on. So, if you're thinking about starting a business or looking for inspiration to get your business back on track, keep watching as we uncover the secrets of the Kinfits story. Let's go. I think a lot of people that are probably watching or listening won't necessarily know who Kinfits & Co. are. So I know full well who you guys are. But let's start there, Liam. Tell us who is Kinfits & Co. What do you guys do?
Yeah, so Kinfits & Co. are sales recruitment and training specialists, startups and SMEs. So we've leveraged our experience working as VPs in one of the largest funded startups in the Middle East to create Kinfits & Co. and help companies with recruiting, onboarding and training of sales superstars. I guess our thinking was, if there's nearly 4,000 startups in the Middle East, some without that luxury of the level of funding that we had in our roles, then how can we make sure that these startups make the right hires and train in the right way, because they may not have that luxury where one hire could be the difference between success and failure. So that's where we are today. As it started almost a year ago, April the 2nd is when we started the business, and
not April the 1st. That was
start April the 1st. You can't start a business on April Fool's Day. So we're in April the 2nd.
Before we get into what you've done over the last year, tell us about where you're at right now. So, a year in, where are you right now?
Yeah, where we are right now, we're in a place where started off just myself and Ben. We've got a marketing executive, we've got a principal consultant. We're actively hiring, which is amazing. We're at our busiest time in our career. We've got over 10 vacancies that we're working on. We have then got a robust pipeline within our B2B and B2C training and coaching channels, which we kind of ramped up pretty much from day one during the pandemic. So we've got clients now not only using us for recruiting, we've got companies who are using us for training, full training with their sales team, and then we've got people that are utilizing us for coaching. Clients all over the world as well, which I guess due to the pandemic has really opened our eyes. So we've got clients based in the UK, got clients based in other parts of Europe, clients based in the Middle East, clients in Saudi, Dubai or UAE. So like clients all over the world, which amazing for us it's great. It's an added bonus, and I guess it has been a global pandemic, but there have been some positive scenarios, and that kind of polarization of the world to do business now without having to be in certain places is something that we take as a positive.
So that's brilliant. I mean, what you've achieved so far, it's almost played into your hands to some extent with the ability to go virtual and to go to a much broader audience. But if you take this first year, were there any kind of moments of doubt, like really big challenges, any moments where you thought, oh my goodness, what have we done?
Yeah, loads, 100%. Yeah, I think as founders, especially, I'd imagine as founders pre-COVID, there's that kind of bipolar nature of success and failure and great days and tough days. And I think, you just got to ride it and really understand, what is your journey and what is your vision and how you're going to get there. I think, there were times, especially during the first few months. It was one of the conversations we had when we started on April 2nd was, we're not going to make money in the next few months. And there was that realization where we're in a pandemic, we know that people are going to be unfortunately losing their jobs or making cuts, and kind of the products that we felt strongest in promoting are probably not going to be something that people want. So what we did to kind of ease that doubt was just build a community. So what we utilized was, how do we help people? And this was the biggest thing. It was like, right, we're not going to make money. We accept that. How do we help people when people need us the most? So we created like the Kinfits and Co sales huddle, which there was that era during the pandemic where it was all about webinars and people getting on webinars. And it's more just, you know, get a guest, get them to talk at you and take away. But for us, it was, let's actually get the people to give us their problems and help in real time. So we had a guest, but then we focused on whether it's objection handling or whether it was negotiating, and had a specialist that would then answer questions in real time. So that really helped, because it just gave people something to focus on that would help with real issues. And for us, it was great because it just saw more people become interested, and it really helped with our content and our story branding and messaging, that we really understood how to be an expert at a time where people needed us the most. So that was really pleasing. But yeah, like there's days now where, you know, we're at our peak in terms of working, which is amazing, but we're still on, you know, there's still that element of failure with that success, but just got to try and stay grounded. And obviously having a partner and a co-founder is good, because they can take on some of the stress and they can take on some of the praise as well. So yeah, it's good.
Tell me, I mean, have there been those kind of moments?
Yeah, probably every other day, mate, if I'm honest. So like me and Liam walk to work together every day, and at least one of our conversations are like, shit, like, have we done the right thing here? And probably realistically, only over the last 3 or 4 weeks have those conversations started disappearing a little bit, and talking more. What's this look like in 6 months, 12 months, 18 months? So yeah, it's, mate, we've balanced that tightrope carefully.
So what have you done whilst you've been in that? You kind of had those moments of doubt up until the last, you know, month or so. What have you done? What's your kind of your mental game in order to get you through that? How have you kind of made sure you kept going, made sure you kept plugging at it to get to the stage where you've got that kind of increased level of confidence?
Probably celebrating those small wins as we go, because there's been lots of days, mate, where it just like everything blows up. Then you have to go back to celebrate those small wins along the way. Yeah. So that's been important for us, mate. And having, I guess, a tangible plan put in place early on, and just accepting it isn't going to work how we ever planned, which is exciting in itself.
So was this idea to kind of, because it's a very different approach. I mean, you're sales focused, but as a recruitment business and as a training business, this idea of building up community and offering something back, now somewhat instigated by COVID, but was that always your intention before you started? Was that kind of part of the strategy?
It was part of our strategy. I think what we want to do is try and find, you know, superstars within the sales world, and you know, make sure that the clients that we're working with are receiving the very best of talent. So creating that community, we wanted to try and utilize our experience to try and find people that shared kind of like-minded beliefs or like-minded mindsets to succeed. So it was definitely a part of our plan, but COVID just accelerated that, because it was that kind of realization that we're not going to make revenue. And it was like, look, we're not going to make revenue. Like, don't think about it. And we had the luxury as being I guess a bootstrap startup, where we didn't have many overheads. We didn't have the reliance of employees and worrying about their salaries. So for us to not chase revenue was kind of a blessing, because it did make us focus on the community aspect and other areas of building our business that we might have rushed because of our kind of instant need to create revenue. So it was definitely part of our idea, but it became at the forefront early on because of what happened.
But I think there's something there. Inherently, you guys have similar values, and inherently those values have come through, not just come through. I think they are crystal clear. If someone didn't know you, I think that's a third thing. If I were to pick things out, you know, community, collaboration, and then the values that you guys have, I just think have been an amazing part of that's underpinned what you've done.
That's really kind of you, mate. I think having a co-founder's really helped. I don't know how I would have got through the last year without a co-founder. Having that person to sort of bounce ideas off and tell him when it's a tough day and I'm having a tough day, like super useful. But yeah, having a co-founder and that community helps, mate. Like dialing back into you when we're sort of pivoting and changing stories helps. Reaching out to other salespeople helps. But yeah, having a co-founder, mate's been so valuable for us, I think. Liam might not say the same.
It's good things to say as well. Good things to say most of the time. So if you, because I think there's a lot of people out there, a lot of people either thinking about starting a business either because they want to, or perhaps they've got no option, but they have to because of what's happened over the last year. Or I think there's a lot of businesses, I know there's a lot of businesses out there who they're just keeping their head above water, right? They're struggling, maybe a little bit unsure as to how to pivot. And we talked about some of those things that I think have worked well for you. The sense of building a sense of community, giving something back, even though you didn't expect anything in return, collaboration, values. What else do you think, or what advice would you give others now to help them to be as successful as they potentially could be?
It's such a good question. I saw a bit of content on this the other day, and it sort of really resonated with me. Is if you need motivation to start your business, don't start your business. Like you're not going to be motivated every day to do it. If you need someone else to give you inspiration to start a business, you're probably going to start the wrong thing. So it has to be something that's intrinsically motivated to go and do it. And then I read a great book, Agile Startup, and you'll be able to tell me who the author is. So Eric Ries, The Lean Startup was probably the first book I read during lockdown, and it was just about trying ideas, failing, learning quickly, and trying something else. So it was actually to do with tech businesses. So it wasn't really written for a service business like us, but like there's so many learnings in there, mate, just to try stuff, and if it doesn't work, just try again, as long as it doesn't destroy your brand whilst doing it, right? Just trying stuff, pivoting, learning, fail and then eventually, fail really quickly, and then try something else, mate.
Back down to, obviously things I talk about a lot, which is the human side of why people buy, how you communicate with people. I think the flip side of that is this human sense of, if I fail as an entrepreneur, then what? Or if I fail at something, or if I get something wrong. And so therefore that stops people from taking action. So this kind of risk reward balance, but you got to feel the fear and do it anyways. I love that quote.
Yeah, I love that, man.
Feel the fear and do it anyway. I think you just almost got to live by that, because some days are going to be good, some days are going to be bad, some things aren't going to work out, some things are.
I think trying to not over celebrate our bigger wins. So we try and stay level. Like some like we're having a great time at the moment, mate. Like the last 2 or 3 weeks, and hopefully the next 2 or 3 weeks are going to be fantastic for us. But it's not over celebrating that, and it's trying to stay level headed. Because if you over celebrate your wins, you almost have to really get depressed about the big losses. So it's trying to stay level headed about it as you go along, mate. I think it's been a big learning for us. Another book that I read was "There's No Plan B for Your A Game" by Bo Eason, all about not having a backup plan. Like Liam and I didn't have a backup plan. We could have, in theory, stayed with our business and worked part-time potentially and made a bit of money. But by going all in on our plan, our only option was to fail or succeed. And there wasn't like, we could sort of do okay and then make some money over here. It was like, let's go all in and sort of see what happens. Worst case is we lose everything, but we're going to get a load of learning whilst doing it.
I love that attitude. It's like, what's your plan B? No, we don't have one. It's plan A, then that's going to work. It's kind of like that.
That doesn't mean you can't pivot though, right? It doesn't mean you can't pivot and figure things out as you go.
Well, plan A might be evolving, right?
But it certainly means you can't sit there thinking about taking employment back, etc. Whilst that might have been a more sensible approach, I don't think it would have been as successful to have that option to fail.
Yeah, I think it's incredibly brave as well. It's incredibly
or
brave.
Stupid.
Let's go with brave. It's been awesome to see that sustained? I mean, obviously for me, you know, working with you guys right at the start, I was nervous for you because obviously that was probably one of the last live in-person workshops that I'd run with a client. And now everything is obviously virtual and has been for the last year. You know, but we obviously got together, we spent that day together working through your messaging, and you guys were just incredibly enthusiastic and committed to the cause, which was brilliant. But it's been brilliant to then see that messaging and that consistency and that clarity is it still flows through now. You know, I follow you guys on, you know, all your social content that comes out, and you guys you're absolutely crystal clear on, you know, who it is that you help, the problems that they face, how you help them overcome those problems, and it's been brilliant to watch.
And I think
last year.
Yeah, I think it was the sessions and like the time that we spent together, like locked away, was just really crucial because it gave us, you know, one, it is working with you. We kind of all speak the same language in terms of how you want the business to be perceived. Because of our background, you were able to draw out the kind of similarities that Ben and I had, and that kind of focus of being, you know, wanting to be sales superstars and then being able to want to help people. And it was so clear, the communication is so clear. It's just, to not stay on brand would be foolish because of the hard work that we've done. So it's just easy, like it really is. And that is because of that work we did so early on. Because the brand's so strong and the messaging so strong, I don't think moving off brand is going to help. You know, it will hinder. So it's just a really, really simple but effective way of speaking to clients. And without it, again, like, we would have done okay, but with this, we're like doing great. So yeah, it's good.
Yeah, brilliant. No, it's been, like I say, brilliant to see. So I think it's very likely there's a lot of people who have perhaps sat tight, or maybe, you know, thinking about starting their own business, or actually have got no choice but to start their own business, perhaps because they've been made redundant, or you know, their existing companies have not been able to survive the pandemic, or perhaps those businesses that were already established but are struggling. So for those businesses, those business owners, or, you know, people within those companies, what advice would you give, having lived through this last year, and now, you know, obviously you're building on that success? What kind of advice and tips would you give them as they sit there right now watching this?
Yeah, I think we've always been told there's no good time to start a business. So I think if you want to do it, and you've got the capital and you've got the backing of your loved ones, and do it. But I think for me, I think a lot of people who want to set up a business may want to set it up this year because, like you said, that they might think they don't have a choice. It's just about making sure, for me, like, is it a side hustle or is it a legitimate business? And I think this is where, like, a bit of planning is really important. So if it's something that is going to keep you stimulated, that you can see there's an addressable market, and you know that you've got what it takes, then go for it. If it's something that you like the idea of, you're not 100%, then it's maybe something to start with on a side hustle basis or a part-time basis, and then bloom into a full-time role. But as long as you've got the right tools, and as long as you've got the right people around you, and you've got, you know, the sources that can really help put an idea together, then it's going to be worth it.
Awesome. So planning, and make sure you're solving a problem that exists. It's a real genuine problem that you can solve in the market.
100%. Yeah. And that you can see that you can do better than others in it.
So there you go. A huge thanks to both Liam and Ben for taking the time out of their busy schedules to chat with me. The big takeaways from those conversations for me were, number one, build a community around what you do. Authentically giving back to your community helps build huge amounts of trust and reciprocity. Number two, seek out collaborations. You know, when Kinfits launched their sales huddles, they brought in outside expertise to help their community, and everyone's a winner. And finally, number three, particularly important for One Zebra, given that's what we do, And that was being crystal clear on their message. They knew exactly who they were helping and what problems they solved for them. Even as they pivoted and extended the range of their business to sales coaching and sales training, they were crystal clear on who their end customer was and what problems they solved for that customer, which enabled them to attract the right types of customer, but also has enabled them to bring on new team members who are equally inspired by that mission to help people. So I hope you found that valuable. If you did, subscribe to our YouTube channel so you can keep on top of all the other new content we put out there and more conversations like this as we chat to business leaders who are making the most out of what are some tough times for us all.